Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Before we start with our today's session, we have an announcement. Byju's IAS is conducting a free workshop on how to make effective notes while preparing for CSE by Rohit Kumar sir. How do you register? Follow the link given in the description box, give the necessary details, and you would be able to attend this free workshop, get your queries answered by one of the renowned faculty of Byju's, Rohit Kumar sir. This session is scheduled to be conducted on 16th of January 2022 at 11 a.m. Let's get started and look into the first question. Which of the following can cause inflation in the Indian economy? Monetary policy, higher interest rates, demand supply gap, increase in government expenditure. Which of the following can cause inflation in the Indian economy? The answer to this is 2 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention of the inflation. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, the monetary policy raising the higher interest rate, will it cause inflation in the Indian economy? The answer to this is no. Higher interest rate basically means that the cost of borrowing will discourage spending, and at the same time this leads to lower economic growth. Indeed, it will cause lower inflation and not increase the inflation. So the first statement is wrong. When we look into the second statement, yes, demand supply gap will increase the inflation. This is what happened during the COVID wave 1 as well as the wave 2. What happened? There was excessive demand, but since the industries were not operating at full strength, we did not have people operating in the industrial sector. There was excessive demand, but the supply was not present. This also leads to inflation. So what leads to inflation? Demand supply gap can also lead to inflation. So the second option is right. Then you look into the third option, increase in government expenditure. When government expenditure is increasing, where government is releasing a lot of funds into the market, it is making sure that there are people who take up opportunities once the government releases the funds into the market. This may also result in inflation as well. So increase in the government expenditure may also cause inflation in the Indian system. So the answer to this would be 2 and 3 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statement. Central Bureau of Investigation is the nodal authority that administers the Extradition Act, and it processes incoming and outgoing extradition requests. Requests for extradition on behalf of the Republic of India can only be made by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is none. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention of extradition. Let us try and understand what are these options. First, let us understand the meaning of extradition. What happens? Let me give you an example. We have, let's say, an Indian citizen who's committed a criminal offense, or he has committed an act against the country and he has left the country and is present in some other country. For example, Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya was to pay Indian banks so much of money that without paying these banks, he absconded from India and he is living in another country. So what should India do? India would have entered into another treaty called as extradition treaty with that particular country. So what is extradition here? Vijay Mallya is not in India. He is in some other country. So India will speak to that country and ask the country's government to extradite this person. So basically, extradition is the delivery of one person who is present in another state. So moving this accused or a person that India wants from a different country back to the home country is what is called as extradition. So an extradition request for an accused can be initiated in all those cases of under investigation, under trial and convicted criminals as well. When it comes to India, we have the Extradition Act of 1962, which provides India a legislative basis for the extradition. When we look into the first option, it is not the Central Bureau of Investigation, but instead it is the CPV division of the Ministry of External Affairs, which is the nodal ministry that administers the Extradition Act. It is not Central Bureau of Investigation, but instead CPV division of the Ministry of External Affairs. The second statement is also wrong. That is because the request for the extradition on behalf of Republic of India can only be made by the Ministry of External Affairs and not by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So what would happen? India and any other country, for example United Kingdom or United Arab Emirates, they would have entered into a treaty. They would have recognized that these are the criminal offences which could have been conducted by the so-called accused. So if such a person is present in each of the other country, what would happen? They will exchange these accused people or the prisoners to another country on the basis of this extradition treaty between India and another country. So basically request would be made by India to another country, and that country, if it feels it is right, may extradite this particular person back into India. Does this mean that treaty is compulsory? In most of the cases, it is compulsory. However, in few other cases, India might not have entered into a treaty with another country as well. In such country, they can work the principle of reciprocity as well. India is not entered into a treaty with another country. However, there is reciprocity principle that may work. What is this reciprocity? They have one of the accused in their country and we have one of the accused in our country. So we have exchange that works. So there is reciprocity which may work in case there is no treaty as well. Similarly, any country can also make an extradition request to India. Extradition is also possible for the non-treaty states as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to voter verifiable paper audit trial, which of the following statements are incorrect? The voter slip is displayed to the voter for about 45 seconds. The VVPAT can be accessed by the polling officials but not by the voters. Which of the statements are incorrect? Since it is asking for the incorrect statement, the answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference of the VVPAT. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, the voter slip is displayed to the voter for about 45 seconds. This is a wrong statement. Why? It is for about 7 seconds. The second statement is right. The VVPAT can be accessed by the polling officials but not by the voters. What exactly happens? We go to the polling booth. The minute we step into the polling booth, we also have the EVM machine. There were allegations that there was something called as hacking of these EVM machines. There were also political parties who were against the EVM machines when it comes to the general elections. So what did the Election Commission of India do? The Election Commission of India introduced what is called as the VVPAT. So what would happen? Let's say you go to the polling booth, you press the EVM button for your political candidate as well as for a political party. What would happen? This VVPAT will showcase to which person you have casted your vote. So basically, you would be able to see through this VVPAT whom you have casted this vote. But the second option also says the VVPAT can be accessed only by the polling officials, which means you would not be able to take it out. This would not be given to you. You would only be able to see it, but the access to it is only given to the polling officials. So the second statement is right. The first statement is wrong. Since the question is asking for the incorrect statement, the answer to this is one only. How does this entire process work? When a vote is cast, a slip is printed on the VVPAT printer containing the serial number, name and symbol of the candidate voted. It is visible to the voter through a transparent window for about 7 seconds. This printed slip automatically gets cut and falls into a sealed drop box. If need be, these printouts can later be counted as well. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following matters can be taken up in Lok Adalats? Matrimonial disputes, all criminal cases, labor disputes, consumer grievance cases. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1, 3 and 4 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a mention of Lok Adalat. What is this Lok Adalat? This is an alternative dispute resolution that we have. We did recently discuss about the mediation bill in our CNA. We did also say that there is large number of pendency of cases in the Indian judicial system. Crores of cases are present in the Indian judicial system. In order to minimize the pendency of cases, what we have is the pre-litigation mechanism. One of the pre-litigation mechanism, also called as the alternative dispute resolution, a part of it is what is also called as Lok Adalats. Lok Adalats is also part of alternative dispute resolution, where there is a pre-litigation mechanism. In this particular process, yes, matrimonial disputes can be resolved, labor disputes can be taken care of, consumer grievances cases can also be resolved, but not all criminal cases. Only those which are compoundable in nature can be resolved as part of Lok Adalats. So the point to be noted is, yes, criminal cases can be taken up, but not all criminal cases, but only those which are compoundable in nature. So what is the difference between compoundable and non-compoundable? All those cases where the parties would be able to compromise is what is called as compoundable cases, and all those cases where the parties cannot compromise amongst each other is what is called as non-compoundable cases. When it comes to the criminal cases which can be adjudicated by Lok Adalats, it can only look into the compoundable cases. So the compoundable cases can be the ones where a compromise can be reached between the two parties who are involved in that particular case. Where can you see this? You can see this in section 320 of the Code of the Criminal Procedure. Now let's look into the next practice question. What is the purpose of setting up of small finance banks in India? To supply credit to small business units, to supply credit to small and marginal farmers, to encourage young entrepreneurs to set up business, particularly in rural areas. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2017. So as per the RBI guidelines, we know for the fact that this particular small finance bank was established to supply credit to small business units, small and marginal farmers, micro and small industries, other unorganized sector entities, but this does not encourage entrepreneurs to set up business, particularly in rural areas. It's got no connection to this, so basically it is only 1 and 2. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is Atal Space Challenge. What is this space challenge all about? We have the Atal Innovation Mission. We have Niti Aayog. They, in collaboration with Indian Space Research Organization and Central Board of Secondary Education, have launched what is called as ATL Space Challenge for all the school students across the country. So this is an initiative where all these parties have come together so that they could create an awareness so that the students are also made part of the Space Challenge program. So this is for all the school students across the entire country. The challenge has been designed for the school students, the mentors and teachers across the country. If the colleges have the ATL labs, or even if the colleges do not have the ATL labs, they can take part in this space challenge. So all those students who are between the classes of 6 to 12 can take part as part of Atal Space Challenge. So students of classes 6 to 12 are given an open platform where they would be able to innovate, they would be able to bring changes. This will be able to bring changes and solutions to the digital age space technological programs. So basically this is a program where problems would be given to them and they would be asked to give innovative solutions to these problems. Students can create a solution that can be implemented and adopted in multiple areas of technology. What does it mean? It means that we have multiple areas. One is for the exploration of the space, then reaching space, inhabiting space, leveraging the space. These are the different compartments. So students would be able to take one of these problems and they would be able to come up with a solution. For example, if they choose a problem area in exploring space, they would be able to develop the games with respect to the space planets. They would be able to create an app to raise awareness about the space. They would be able to develop robotic system technologies to improve the space exploration exploration machines. So if they happen to choose a problem in explore space arena, they would be able to make it up to all these problems that are existing in this area. Then we have something called as reach page, where they would be able to create a 3D model of their equipment and the vehicles. They would be able to use artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. They would be able to develop mobile applications to make living in space better and easier. Such can be taken up if they have chosen a problem to reach space as one of the area. Then we have something called as inhabit space, which is about solving space exploration problems and developing 3D model designs for 3D printed habitats. And finally, what we also have is leverage space, where they make use of existing technologies like geospatial technology, drone technology, and visualizing data so that they can ultimately bring solutions to the existing problems with respect to digital age space technology issues. It is this that we have to understand in reference to the ATL Space Challenge. So, this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.